Um, so this story takes place in Jamaica. I was, I think, 16 at the time. I went on holiday with two of my sisters and my mum, and we were staying with one of our family friends in a house in an area called Maypen, Clarendon. Um, and it's not the city, I would say it is countryside, but not as deep in the country as where my mum is actually from. That's even more deep in the country. But this house was kind of in an area where there were a few houses roughly next to each other, but everyone kind of buys a plot of land, right? So each house is very different to the other. So there was kind of roughly houses next to each other. There was kind of woodland that would lead to one of my mum's aunt's houses, actually. But roughly houses next to each other, and then in front of the house there's kind of like a plain. So just a plain with cows and stuff roaming around. So the house was a bungalow, there was no upstairs. Relatively big, I would say 2 or 3 bedrooms, a nice living room done in that kind of traditional West Indian Caribbean style where it's all very kind of English. A nice kitchen that would come off of it, a bathroom, a really nice house, because this particular lady, she spent half her year in England, she spent half her year in America, in Jamaica, so she'd kind of done the house up, so it was a little bit like a holiday home. And we were like her guests, so she was a family friend, but we were also staying with her as if it was like a guest house. So at this point in Jamaica, and I think still now, because it was definitely still happening the last time I went in 2017, there would be blackouts through the day, and I think it's actually like an electricity saving measure, but I'm not quite sure why. But sometimes the electricity would just cut out. So there was one evening, it gets very dark in Jamaica very quickly, again, especially in the countryside where there isn't an abundance of, you know, artificial lighting through shops and street lights or whatever. We're in the country. So one evening, I don't think it was that late in the evening, I vaguely think it was probably somewhere between 6 and 8 o'clock, but very dark. So sometime after sundown, very dark. So we had like the lights on, but then there was a power cut, like I said, which happened quite often. And I had to cross from one part of the house to the other. And yeah, it was quite like I said, quite a spacious house and only one level. So it's not like I was just going upstairs to get something. I had to kind of cross through the house to get something. I can't remember where I was going, probably the kitchen to get a snack. And so I took like a torch because blackout, none of the lights are working. Take my torch, walking through the house, walk past the bathroom, kind of just past the doorway of the bathroom, and I glimpse an old man kind of grooming his beard in the mirror. Now, we were not staying with any old men. There was the woman of the house that owned the house. There was my mum. There were my 2 sisters and me. There was no old man staying with us. But for that brief moment, there was an old man staring in the mirror, kind of grooming his beard. I remember that he had like a grey beard, a little bit of grey hair. He was a black man, kind of afro curly, a little bit of grey hair on top, a grey beard, like brown eyes. Quite a friendly face, quite a warm, generous, you know, weathered face. Definitely not scary. I can't say I was scared. I was taken aback because he obviously wasn't supposed to be there. And he kind of vanished very quickly. Like I said, it was like a glimpse. And if I looked twice, he was gone. So I was freaked out because I shouldn't have been seeing that. I don't even think I told anyone. I really should speak to my sisters about this because I can't remember if I told anyone. I think I just assumed that my mind had been making it up, it was my imagination. But at the same time, I knew that it wasn't my imagination. And I would say that this event was pivotal in simultaneously opening up and shutting down my clairvoyance. So if you know much about psychicness, you'll know that we work with different clairs, clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, to name a few. And I would say that was my first real clairvoyant moment, clairvoyance meaning clear seeing, meaning kind of, you know, seeing things from other realms, seeing energy, right? And I think it freaked me out so much, and I kind of was so disbelieving of myself that kind of shut down the clairvoyant part for me. And over the years, when I started working with these abilities again, I definitely am much more clairaudient. Like I hear a lot of things. Sometimes I smell things as well. I can't remember what the smell one is known as. And obviously I know a lot of things. I just know things. But I would say this was my first clairvoyant episode. Definitely it was a ghost. Definitely was not like a negative entity. It just felt like the echo of someone who used to live there, or the echo of someone who was attached to one of us, so like an ancestor. And instinctually I feel like this person was attached to the lady of the house, the lady who owned the house. I don't know if it was like an ex-husband. That's the vibe I get. An ex-husband. Someone who passed on. Now, what's also really interesting about this story is that I don't think it was much longer before the lady of the house also passed away. She passed away in a car accident, I think, unfortunately. She was a really lovely lady. And I had a dream about her after she passed away. And in the dream, we were at her house in Jamaica, and she had a little walking stick and she was walking around the house going towards the back. And she was beckoning to me and she was like, come, I've got something to show you. And yeah, so there was definitely a deep happening going on in that house with that lady. Jamaica always feels like a place for me that's very deep in its spiritual traditions. It feels completely different to how the UK feels to me energetically. It feels like spirits always find it a lot easier to reach us there than they do here, especially in the countryside there. And I think that's probably down to, you know, the less technology that there is. And I mean, I do feel similar when I go to the countryside in England as well, actually, like proper thick countryside where there isn't much technology, there isn't much artificial lights. It's definitely easier for spirits to access us there. So that's my first ghost story of the season. I just felt like sharing it, just to let you into some of the stuff that led me to, you know, have this YouTube channel, become a tarot reader, put myself out there on Instagram. And even though this episode was like 25 years ago now, it definitely, I would say, it was the first time that I ever caught a glimpse of the other realm. Take care now.